The massive Jellock fleet moved silently through the newly discovered region of space. Their ships resembled giant manta rays, organic yet mechanical, with surfaces that reflected starlight in rainbow patterns. High Admiral Tejo stood at the command center of his flagship, the Eternal Glory. His four eyes blinked in sequence as he studied the holographic display before him. "Admiral, we've detected something unusual," said Commander Minji, her scaled fingers adjusting controls on her console. "An unknown vessel near the asteroid field in Sector 7. Tejo's secondary breathing membranes fluttered with interest. "Show me." The hologram shifted to display a small ship. It was angular and compact, with none of the elegant curves of Jellock design. Various markings decorated its hull, including the words UES Invictus. "Origin?" Tejo asked. "Analysis suggests it belongs to the species designated humans." "Our intelligence reports indicate they are primitive but resourceful," replied Minji. "They've only achieved interstellar travel within the last century." Tejo made a dismissive gesture with his upper limbs. The Jellock Confederacy had conquered 17 star systems in recent memory. Their technology was superior to anything they had yet encountered. These humans would be no different. "Send Tactical Squadron 3 to investigate," he ordered. "I want to know their capabilities before we make formal contact." From behind him, Science Officer Dohayan cleared his throat. "Admiral, perhaps caution would be." "The Confederacy did not expand by being cautious," Tejo interrupted. "Execute my orders." 5 Jellock ships broke formation and accelerated toward the human vessel. They moved with perfect coordination, a testament to Jellock military precision. Aboard the UES Invictus, alerts sounded throughout the ship. Captain Nari looked up from her datapad and moved swiftly to the bridge. The command center was a model of efficiency, with crew members at various stations monitoring ship systems. "Report," she said calmly as she took her seat. Lieutenant Juho turned from his sensor station. 5 unknown vessels approaching, Captain. Configuration matches nothing in our database." His fingers moved across his console. "They're in attack formation." Nari's expression remained neutral. "Broadcast first contact protocols on all frequencies. And activate defensive systems discreetly." Her tactical officer, Commander Sun Wu, raised an eyebrow. "All of them, Captain?" "All of them," she confirmed. "But keep them powered down until my order." The Jellock squadron approached the Invictus with increasing speed. Their scanners probed the human vessel, searching for weapons, defenses, and vulnerabilities. "Admiral," reported Squadron Leader Kyung from his ship. "The human vessel appears lightly armed. Only basic defensive capabilities detected. No significant threat." Back on the Eternal Glory, Tejo nodded with satisfaction. "Open communications." The main view screen flickered to life, showing a human female seated in what appeared to be the command center of their ship. She had dark hair pulled back tightly and wore a simple dark uniform with minimal insignia. "This is Captain Nari of the United Earthship Invictus," she said. "We come in peace and welcome dialogue with your species." Tejo studied her for a moment before responding. "I am High Admiral Tejo of the Jellock Confederacy. You have entered territory now claimed by our people. You will submit to boarding and inspection immediately." On the Invictus, Nari maintained her composed expression despite the clear threat. "Admiral Tejo, we respect your presence in this region, but we must inform you that unconsented boarding would violate interstellar diplomatic protocols. Perhaps we could instead arrange a proper meeting between our representatives?" Tejo's upper membrane curled in what might have been amusement or contempt. "Protocols exist between equals, human. Your vessel is alone, while my fleet stands ready. You will comply or face consequences." Captain Nari leaned forward slightly. "I strongly encourage you to reconsider, Admiral. Conflict serves neither of our interests." "They're stalling for time," Commander Minji suggested to Tejo. The Admiral nodded. "Squadron Leader Kyung, fire warning shots across their bow. Show them our resolve." The Gel-Lock Tactical Squadron released bright pulses of energy that streaked past the human vessel, deliberately missing but illuminating its hull with eerie blue light. On the Invictus, bridge officers looked to Captain Nari expectantly. She remained perfectly still for 3 seconds, then straightened her uniform jacket. "They've made their choice," she said quietly. Battle stations. Defensive systems online. Prepare countermeasures. As her crew rushed to comply, she opened a secure channel. "Command, this is Captain Nari. First contact Scenario 7 in progress. Request immediate backup." The response came almost instantly. "Understood, Invictus. Battle Group Delta is en route. Estimated arrival, 17 minutes. You are authorized to defend yourself with appropriate force." Nari closed the channel and looked at her tactical officer. "Let's show them what a primitive species can do, Commander." The Gel-Lock Tactical Squadron circled the human vessel like predators surrounding prey. Their ship's outer hulls pulsed with blue-green light as weapons systems charged to full capacity. Squadron Leader Kyung felt confident. The human ship was small, with clean lines but none of the elegant complexity of Gel-Lock engineering. "Target their propulsion systems," Kyung ordered his gunners. "Minimal power. We want them disabled, not destroyed." Admiral Tejo watched from the eternal glory, all 4 eyes focused on the tactical display. "The humans continue to defy us," he noted with mild irritation. "They refuse to power down their systems for boarding." "Perhaps another warning," suggested Commander Minji. Tejo clicked his primary mandibles in agreement. "Squadron Leader Kyung, you may fire a direct warning shot. Something to shake them up but cause no real damage." On the Invictus, Captain Nari watched the alien vessels position themselves around her ship. Her hands rested calmly on the arms of her command chair. "They're targeting our engines," reported Commander Sunwoo. "Weapons fully charged." "Shields at maximum," Nari ordered. "But keep our response systems powered down until my mark." The lead Gel-Lock ship fired. A bright pulse of energy struck the Invictus, causing the human vessel to shudder. "Shields holding at 92%, called out Lieutenant Juho. "No damage to critical systems." In his command ship, Squadron Leader Kyung blinked in surprise. "They have energy shields?" The scans didn't indicate defensive technology of that level. On the flagship, Science Officer Do-hyun rushed to Admiral Tejo's side. "Admiral, I'm detecting unusual energy patterns from the human vessel. They don't match our intelligence assessment." "Explain," Tejo demanded. "Their power core is producing output levels far beyond what a ship that size should be capable of," Do-hyun said, mandibles clicking nervously. "And their hull composition, it's unlike any material in our database." Before Tejo could respond, the tactical officer shouted, "The human ship is deploying something." On the Invictus, Captain Nari's voice remained steady. "Defense grid online. Target their weapons systems only. Minimal force." Panels along the human ship's hull slid open, revealing weapon ports that had been completely hidden from Gel-Lock scanners. A soft blue glow emanated from each opening as targeting systems locked onto the alien vessels. "Impossible," whispered Squadron Leader Kyung as his sensors suddenly detected dozens of weapon systems that had been invisible moments before. The Invictus fired. Not wild, desperate shots, but precise, controlled beams that struck each Gel-Lock ship exactly where intended. Squadron Leader Kyung's vessel shuddered as its main weapon array went dark. "Report," he shouted as emergency lights flashed throughout his command center. "Weapons offline," his tactical officer responded with panic in his voice. "They bypassed our shields completely." Similar reports flooded in from the other 4 ships in his squadron. None were destroyed, but all had been precisely disabled in a matter of seconds. On the Eternal Glory, Admiral Tejo watched in disbelief. "How is this possible?" Science Officer Do-hyun's analysis came quickly. "Their weapons operate on principles unknown to us, Admiral. They appear to phase through our standard defenses." "Squadron Leader Kyung, withdraw immediately," Tejo ordered. The 5 Gel-Lock ships turned and began retreating, but the Invictus pursued with surprising speed. It moved with agility that seemed impossible for a vessel of its size, easily keeping pace with the fleeing squadron. Admiral, called intelligence analyst Jaiwu from her station. "I've intercepted communications between the human vessel and their command. The Invictus is classified as a scout frigate in their fleet." "A scout?" Teiho's membranes fluttered in alarm. "You mean?" "Yes, sir. This is merely an advance unit. Their records indicate it's one of their smallest combat vessels." Captain Nari opened communications again. "Admiral Teiho, this is your only warning. Withdraw your forces from our position immediately, or we will be forced to take further defensive action." Teiho's anger overrode his growing concern. "All attack squadrons, engage the human vessel. Full weapons discharge authorized." 20 Jellok warships broke formation and accelerated toward the Invictus, their weapons charging to maximum power. On her ship, Captain Nari sighed. They never learn the first time. She turned to her communications officer. "Signal the rest of Battle Group Delta. Tell them we might need that assistance sooner than expected." As the Jellok attack force closed in, Officer Dohayan continued analyzing the strange readings from the human vessel. "Admiral," he said urgently, "I'm detecting 3 massive energy signatures at the edge of the system. They just appeared from nowhere." The tactical display updated to show 3 large objects moving rapidly toward their position. Each one dwarfed the Invictus in size, and their power signatures were off the scale of Jellok measuring systems. "What are those?" Teiho demanded, his confidence faltering for the first time. Intelligence analyst Jaiwa's voice was barely above a whisper as she answered, "According to human classifications, sir, those are their actual warships." The Great Hall of the Eternal Glory fell silent as Science Officer Dohayan's presentation concluded. Admiral Teiho and his senior staff stared at the holographic display showing detailed analysis of human history and biology. "So what you're telling us," Admiral Teiho said slowly, "is that these humans evolved on a death world?" Dohayan nodded, his scaled skin reflecting the blue light of the hologram. "By our standards, yes. Their home planet Earth has extreme weather patterns, constantly shifting tectonic plates, and housed over 100 species of apex predators during their evolution." The display showed images of ancient Earth, lightning storms, volcanoes, massive predatory animals with sharp teeth and claws. "While we Jellok developed in the balanced ecosystem of Jelloria Prime, humans fought constantly for survival," Dohayan continued. "Their bodies are remarkably durable. They can survive in temperatures that would kill most species. They can lose limbs and live. Their bones can break and heal stronger than before." Commander Minji leaned forward. "That explains their physical resilience, but what about their technology? How did they advance so quickly?" Dohayan changed the display to show human warfare through the ages. Constant conflict drove their development. In just 3 centuries, they went from simple chemical propellants to faster-than-light travel. Their war technology developed even faster. The images shifted to show the UES Invictus. This scout frigate contains defensive and offensive systems that incorporate principles our scientists have never conceived. Their approach to technology is unpredictable. Meanwhile, aboard the Invictus, Captain Nari met with her senior officers in the ship's small conference room. The 3 larger human warships, the Dreadnought, the Sentinel, and the Guardian, held position nearby, their massive forms easily visible through the viewport. "They're confused," said Commander Sun Woo, reviewing intelligence reports. "Their communications indicate they severely underestimated us." Lieutenant Juho nodded. "Their scans focus primarily on our weapons systems. They still don't understand how we fit so much power into a vessel this size." Captain Nari sipped her tea thoughtfully. "It's the same story throughout human history. Other species always assume we're weaker than we are." On the holographic display between them floated a detailed analysis of Jellok biology and technology. The aliens had 4 eyes, scaled skin, and breathed through membrane-covered openings in their chests. Their technology was elegant and advanced, but developed along predictable lines. "The Jellok evolved in a stable environment," explains Science Officer Yunbai. Their technology developed through careful iteration rather than necessity. They've never faced true existential threats. Captain Nari nodded. And that's always been humanity's advantage. We prepare for the worst because we've seen the worst. Back on the Eternal Glory, intelligence analyst Jaiwo rushed into the Great Hall, interrupting the scientific presentation. Admiral, we've decoded more of their communications. You need to see this immediately. The holographic display shifted to show Captain Nari's service record. It detailed her background as both a military commander and a scientist. She holds advanced degrees in quantum physics, developed 3 weapons systems currently deployed throughout their fleet, and commanded defense forces during something called the Proxima Centauri conflict, Jaiwo explained. One person did all this, asked Commander Minji in disbelief. It appears to be standard in their society, Jaiwo replied. Unlike our specialized development, humans cross-train extensively. Their military officers understand the science behind their technology. Their scientists understand combat tactics. Admiral Teiho's membranes fluttered with concern. What about the Proxima Centauri conflict? What happened there? Jaiwo's voice grew quieter. Humans fought against a species called the Vraxian Horde. The Vraxians attacked human colonies without warning, expecting easy victory. Within 1 Earth year, the human forces had completely defeated the Vraxian fleet and secured their borders. The room fell silent again. Finally, Admiral Teiho spoke. What about their larger ships? What can you tell me about them? The display changed to show the 3 human warships now positioned near the Invictus. The largest one, designated Dreadnought, carries enough firepower to destroy our entire fleet, Dohayan said simply. Its hull contains materials we cannot identify. Its power core operates on principles unknown to us. And yet, Jaiwo added, they haven't fired on us despite our aggression. Their communications indicate they preferred diplomacy to conflict. Admiral Teiho's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he considered this information. So they're predators who believe in peace? Not exactly, Dohayan corrected. They're survivors who understand that unnecessary conflict is wasteful. They prepare for war constantly but prefer not to engage in it. And the Invictus? Asked Commander Minji. Why send such a small ship into unknown territory? Because it's not small to them, Jaiwo explained. It's perfectly sized for its purpose: exploration and first contact. They designed it to appear non-threatening while containing all the defensive capabilities needed for unexpected situations. Admiral Teiho stood slowly. We have misjudged these humans severely. They are not the primitives we believed them to be. He turned to his communications officer. Open a channel to Captain Nari. I believe it's time we had a real conversation. The 20 Jellok warships moved into attack formation, their hulls gleaming under the distant starlight. Admiral Teiho had made his decision. Despite the new information about humans, he could not back down now. The honor of the Jellok Confederacy was at stake. All ships, target the human scout vessel, he commanded. Disable it quickly. On the viewscreen, Captain Nari's expression remained calm despite the obvious threat. Admiral Teiho, we have no desire for conflict. Please reconsider. Teiho cut the communication. Fire at will. Multiple energy beams lanced out from the Jellok ships, converging on the Invictus. For a moment, the small human vessel disappeared in a blinding flash of light. Direct hits confirmed, reported Commander Minji. Waiting for smoke to clear. The energy discharge faded, revealing the Invictus completely intact. A shimmering blue field surrounded the ship, pulsing where the Jellok weapons had struck. Impossible, whispered Teiho. How did they survive that? Science Officer Dohayan frantically analyzed the readings. Their shield technology operates on completely different principles than ours. It appears to absorb and redirect energy rather than simply blocking it. Aboard the Invictus, Captain Nari gripped the arms of her command chair as the ship trembled under the assault. Shields holding at 78%, reported Lieutenant Juho. Minor power fluctuations in secondary systems.
Commander Sunwoo looked up from his tactical display. Orders, Captain? Nari's eyes narrowed slightly. Begin evasive pattern Delta 7. Target their weapons systems only, disabling shots.
The Invictus suddenly accelerated, executing a tight spiral maneuver that would have torn apart most ships of its size.
The gel-lock gunners struggled to track it as it weaved between their larger vessels with impossible agility.
How are they moving like that? Demanded Squadron Leader Kyung from his ship.
Their inertial compensators should be overloading.
The Invictus fired. Not a wild barrage, but precisely aimed shots that struck the weapons arrays of 3 gel-lock ships simultaneously.
The targeted systems went dark immediately.
On the Eternal Glory, Admiral Tejo watched in growing horror as the human vessel systematically disabled his ships one by one.
It moved with a speed and precision that defied understanding.
Order all ships to concentrate fire, he shouted.
Full power to weapons.
The remaining gel-lock vessels coordinated their attack, creating a web of energy beams that the human ship couldn't possibly evade.
The Invictus took multiple direct hits, its blue shields flaring brightly under the strain. For a moment, Admiral Tejo allowed himself to hope.
Their shields are weakening, reported Commander Minji.
Power levels dropping. Then something changed.
The 3 massive human warships that had been holding position at the edge of the system began to move. They accelerated with surprising speed for vessels of their size, forming a triangular formation as they approached.
Admiral, said Communications Officer Jean with fear in his voice.
The human warships are hailing us. The main view screen activated, showing a stern-faced human male with gray hair at his temples.
He wore a dark uniform with more insignia than Captain Nari. This is Fleet Admiral Dongyi of the United Earth Navy.
Your unprovoked attack on one of our vessels constitutes an act of war.
Stand down immediately or face appropriate response.
Before Tejo could reply, the tactical display erupted with warnings. The 3 human warships had launched smaller vessels, dozens of them, each approximately half the size of the Invictus. Fighter craft, explained Officer Dohayan, his voice tight with tension. They're deploying fighter craft. The human fighters moved with the same impossible agility as the Invictus, but in perfect coordination. They swarmed around the gel-lock fleet like insects, targeting engines and weapons systems with surgical precision.
5 more gel-lock ships went dark within moments, their main systems disabled by the human assault. On the Invictus, Captain Nari opened a secure channel to Fleet Admiral Dongyi.
Admiral, request permission to attempt one more diplomatic solution before this escalates further.
The older human nodded. Granted, Captain. But be ready for anything. Nari reopened communications with the gel-lock flagship. Admiral Tejo, look around you.
Half your fleet is disabled, and we've deliberately avoided causing casualties.
This doesn't need to continue.
Tejo's membranes fluttered rapidly as he observed the tactical situation.
10 of his 20 ships were now powerless, drifting in space.
The human fighters continued their precise assault on the others, while the 3 massive warships moved into positions that would allow them to target the Eternal Glory directly. What are your terms? He finally asked, his voice heavy with the weight of inevitable defeat. Simple, replied Captain Nari. A cessation of hostilities and the beginning of proper diplomatic relations.
We have no interest in conquest, Admiral. Only peaceful coexistence. As she spoke, the largest human warship, the Dreadnought, moved into position directly above the Eternal Glory.
Its size became fully apparent now, dwarfing even the gel-lock flagship.
Weapon ports lined its hull, all currently dark but clearly ready.
Admiral Tejo looked up at the massive vessel hovering above his ship, then back at the human captain's steady gaze. I believe, he said slowly, that we should talk. The observation deck of the UES Dreadnought offered a spectacular view of the surrounding space. Admiral Tejo stood before the massive transparent viewport, his 4 eyes taking in the sight of the human fleet alongside his own damaged vessels. Engineer teams from both species worked together, repairing the gel-lock ships that had been disabled during the brief but decisive battle.
Fleet Admiral Dongyi joined him at the viewport, hands clasped behind his back.
The human commander was tall for his species, with a weathered face that spoke of long experience. Your engineers work quickly, Tejo observed. I did not expect such generosity after our attack on your scout ship.
Admiral Donghe nodded.
Humans have a saying, the best victory requires no battle.
When conflict becomes necessary, we believe in ending it as quickly as possible and moving forward.
Tejo's breathing membranes fluttered in what humans had learned was a sign of deep thought. The Jellok Confederacy has conquered 17 star systems in the past cycle. Never have we encountered a species with your capabilities.
Our intelligence suggested humans were primitive.
A common misconception, Donghe said with a slight smile.
We've found it useful to be underestimated.
In the diplomatic chamber nearby, Captain Nari sat with Science Officer Dohayan, explaining the basics of human history. Their conversation was being recorded for inclusion in the official First Contact archives of both species.
So your people developed space travel as a direct response to resource scarcity? Dohayan asked, fascinated. Nari nodded. Necessity drives innovation.
Earth was becoming crowded, our resources strained. We had to expand or face extinction.
And your military technology? Developed through centuries of conflict, Nari explained. Unlike the Jellok, we didn't evolve in harmony with our environment.
We had to fight for every step of progress.
Dohayan's scale shifted color slightly, a sign of embarrassment in his species. Our reports classified humans as a minor threat. Clearly, we were wrong.
In another section of the massive ship, Commander Minji observed human crew members in their daily routines. What struck her most was their versatility.
Engineers discussed tactical problems.
Security personnel offered technical suggestions.
The rigid specialization of Jellok society was notably absent.
Commander Sun Wu noticed her interest.
Something puzzling you, Commander?
Your people, everyone seems to understand everyone else's work, she said.
Sun Wu nodded. Cross-training is fundamental to human military doctrine. Everyone learns a bit of everything. It creates redundancy in emergency situations. Minji considered this. In Jellok society, we are born into our roles. A scientist would never learn combat skills. A warrior would never study engineering.
Different evolutionary paths lead to different societies, Sun Wu replied diplomatically.
Back on the observation deck, the two admirals had been joined by diplomatic representatives. The human ambassador, a woman named Sumin, presented a data tablet to Admiral Tejo.
These are our proposed terms for peaceful relations, she explained. We're offering membership in the Galactic Cooperative, an alliance of 17 spacefaring species who share knowledge and resources while maintaining sovereignty.
Tejo reviewed the document carefully. 17 species? We had no idea the galaxy was so populated.
Most maintain low profiles, Admiral Donghe explained. Many had encounters with aggressive civilizations in their past and prefer caution in first contact situations.
Like the Vraxians you defeated? Tejo asked. Donghe's expression darkened slightly. The Proxima Centauri conflict was regrettable.
The Vraxians refused all diplomatic overtures and targeted civilian populations. We had no choice but to respond with force.
Tejo studied the human admiral. Yet you did not destroy them. Extinction is rarely necessary. Once we demonstrated our military superiority, we offered peace. They accepted. In the ship's medical bay, Jellok wounded received treatment alongside human personnel injured during the brief battle. Dr. Jimin explained human medical techniques to his Jellok counterpart. Your biological understanding is impressive, said the Jellok physician.
You've already adapted your treatments to our physiology.
Dr. Jimin smiled. Adaptability is a human specialty. We've had to learn quickly throughout our history.
3 days later, as the Jellok fleet prepared to depart, Admiral Tejo met with Captain Nari one final time. They stood in the Invictus' small conference room, where it had all begun. The Supreme Council has accepted your terms, Tejo informed her.
We will send representatives to this galactic cooperative. Nari nodded. I'm glad to hear it.
I think both our peoples will benefit from the exchange.
Teiho's membranes fluttered gently. There is something I must ask. You could have destroyed my fleet at any time.
Why show such restraint? Because that's not who we are, Nari replied simply. Humanity learned through bitter experience that victory through annihilation is no victory at all. As his shuttle departed the human vessels, Admiral Teiho watched the impressive warships that had so easily outmatched his fleet. The Gellot Confederacy would need to reconsider many assumptions about their place in the galaxy. For the first time in 800 cycles, they had encountered a species that exceeded them technologically, yet showed greater wisdom than conquest. In his private log that night, Teiho recorded, "We came seeking new worlds to conquer and instead found a lesson in humility." Perhaps the true measure of an advanced civilization is not its weapons, but knowing when not to use them.